This is a genuine question from someone who has children. Why are mothers so triggered by people that don't want kids? I really need an answer. So if someone could respectfully let me know, that would be great.
Hi, mom of two here, and the short answer is because misery loves company. Those women who are mad at other women for not wanting children, they know that they're going to have a lifetime of peace. And the moms who are mad at that are mad that they didn't make that choice themselves. It really boils down to that because, like I said, misery loves company. Now, these women are probably miserable for a variety of reasons. It could be that they had too many children, which is totally a thing. It could also be that they had children with the wrong partner. It could be that they do not get adequate help. Or it could be that they were just under the impression that when a woman grows up, she's supposed to have children, and maybe they just weren't meant to be mothers, and they realize that, but obviously it's a little too late at that point, you know? I am a mom of two, and I rejoice. I love it when I find out that another woman is childless or she does not want to have a child. I think it is incredible because motherhood isn't meant for everyone, and I love a self-aware queen. Nothing has ever solidified my stance on being pro-choice than becoming a mother myself, because this shit is hard.
So, as somebody with kids, I think from my perspective, the reason why sometimes parents can get annoyed and frustrated with people who don't have kids is that it's not just that they don't want kids, but they openly insinuate that you are miserable and hate your life because you have kids. There are people in the comment section of your video doing this. There was one person that said, "Misery loves company," in response to your question. Like, I personally could not give less of a shit about what anybody does with their lives, whether people choose to have kids or not. In fact, most of my friends don't have kids, and I don't care at all. However, a lot of my friends have no problem with just like openly shit talking me and the fact that I have kids right to my face. Like one time I was on a video call with my best friend and my son woke up and I had to go put him back to sleep, and I came back and my friend just directly to me nonchalantly was like, "I'm so glad I don't have kids. It seems like it would be awful." Don't say that to me. Keep that to yourself. One time I was at work and I managed this team of editors. There was like 5 or 6 people, and they got on the subject of talking about how horrible it would be to have kids and how miserable people with children would be. And they were just openly talking about this and laughing about it in front of me. And they all knew I had kids. And it doesn't feel good to be in a room of people just like openly insulting like a core part of your life. Like, I actually teared up. I think it's the unapologetic attitude that it would be so terrible to have kids and that you must be miserable because you have kids. That is the main issue that parents have with talking and interacting with childless people. Like, it's very insulting for somebody to just to your face insinuate that your life must suck and that you're a miserable person. And I don't think they even realize what they're doing because, like I said, some of my best friends in the world will just casually say this stuff to me. I don't think that it even crosses their mind that this would be hurtful to say to somebody. It's just such an invalidation to such a large part of your life and literal human beings that are a part of your family that you love. Are there weirdos that have kids that go around insinuating that childless people are miserable? Absolutely. Are there weirdos with kids that go around acting like if you don't have kids, your life isn't fulfilled? Absolutely. I totally see that, and that absolutely happens. But I'm not one of those people, and yet I constantly experience this. So, in summary, I guess ultimately I don't feel like it's very in good faith to just say that parents are triggered by people that don't have kids because they don't have kids. I think it's more that a lot of them are very invalidating to people with kids and just insinuate that they're miserable, sad people, which is super insulting.
Childfree woman coming at you. I think there's a couple things at play here. Women are raised to accept that they will one day be a wife and mother, and that it is somehow our gift to the world. This is not my belief, but I have friends who truly do believe that they were meant to be mothers. I don't share that. I've never felt that. But socially, there is a pressure that you are expected to get married and have babies. That's just what you're supposed to do. So when women disobey this sisterhood, it's alarming to the women that participate in it, because many of them feel insecure and that it is an attack on them as opposed to, motherhood as a whole, or just freedom for women to do what the fuck they want. And then I think for some mothers, not all, they get into the true experience of motherhood, postpartum, marriage with kids, etc., and realize this isn't really the dream that society sold me on. What's up with this? So while many mothers won't admit it in this case, I think some of this is also jealousy of women without kids, jealousy to rewrite the narrative, to relive their lives, to live a life that they want to live as opposed to a life that they're expected to live.
Why are mothers so triggered by people that don't want kids?
I think it's because it stings some of us who have decided to be mothers when we think about what was the real reason why we wanted to be a mother. For many of us, it's because, at least for a person like me, it was because I sought identity. I sought identity that was acceptable, cared for, supported, and affirmed by the greater society. Because all the things that I was, in my mind, was not. I'm a child who grew up in significant childhood trauma and poverty, a person who had an absent father, a person who ended up in foster care and aged out, a person of color, a brown person, a brown girl. And to me, those identities weren't of any worth or any of value. So I thought, well, if I'm a mother, now I'm something to be proud of. Now I'm something that people will admire and people will respect and people will affirm. But when you get into the actual day-to-day life of being a mother and you realize how no one cares how you feel, when you realize how much work it is, when you realize how selfless you have to be, how self disappears, who you are as a person disappears, and the society doesn't value you, and you're not even sometimes valued in your own home, then you look back at those women or people who say they didn't want to have kids, and then you realize, those people had a sense of self. The identities and who they are as a person, they know. And they don't need to go and find an identity or find a label to put on themselves to be acceptable, because they're acceptable and okay just as they are. And when you're in the midst of it and you look at it, it stings. It stings because you realize you didn't have a sense of self. And remember, you can feel this way and still love being a mother. You can feel this way and still love your children very much. But there is a mourning and regret you feel about how you disregarded yourself, hoping to find an identity that would be accepted and affirmed by others, instead of realizing that who you are just as a human being, as a woman, as a person, is okay.